afternoon, everybody. We are going to start our session on contribution of publishers in making India a book reading nation and knowledge society. I request Kanchan ma'am to come and start the session, please.
Good afternoon. Namaskar. So we are starting the first post-lunch session today. I hope everybody is settled down. Thank you so much. I just want your attention. So since this is a very important session that we are going to start, the session is on contribution of publishers in making India a book reading nation and a knowledge society. So to begin the session, first of all, I would like to invite our speakers to the dais. I would like to invite, first of all, the chair of the session, Shri Yuvraj Malik, Director, National Book Trust, India. A round of applause, please. I would now like to invite Shri Chandra Prakash ji, Partner Universal Booksellers, to the dais, please. Next, I would like to invite Dr. Jyoti Arora, Principal, Mount Abu Public School, to the dais, please. Ma'am. Last but not the least, I would like to invite Sri Olivanan Gopalakrishnan, CEO, Emerald Publishers, to the dais, please. Before I begin with the brief bio about every one of our panelists, I would request Dr. Ashokji to please felicitate everyone.
Sir, please. Sir.
Thank you, Dr. Ashok Gupta ji. Before we begin the session, I would like to briefly talk about each panelist so that we know them better. So in the chair is Shri Yuvraj Malik ji. He currently is the Director of National Book Trust, India, the nodal agency of Government of India for promotion of books and reading in the country. He's an accomplished professional with 20 years of experience in prominent roles in the Ministry of Education, Ministry of Defense, the Ministry of Human Affairs, and the United Nations. He's also the part of think tank working on the key projects in the field of education, such as creating intellectual heritage, Indian knowledge system, toy-based learning, National Digital Library as well. Shri Yuvraj Malik has successfully implemented the PM Yuva scheme, where a pool of 75 young authors in 22 Indian languages under 30 years of age from across the country were provided proper mentorship and suitable resources by NBT and Ministry of Education. Their first books were published by National Book Trust India and were released in New Delhi World Book Fair 2023. He has also played a key role in making New Delhi World Book Fair as one of the biggest B2C category book festival in the world. Welcome, sir. Next, I would like to introduce Chandra Prakash sir. Chandra Prakash sir is a seasoned professional and a partner at one of the oldest and largest bookstores of India, the Universal Booksellers at Lucknow. In addition to being a businessman, he has been an active member of Civil Defense Lucknow for many years as Chief Warden, now of course retired. During the early 1990s, Chandra Prakash ji created and mentored a fortnightly newspaper, Nai Disha Ki Or, for the adult neo-literates. He's also committee member advisor to NBT's Gomti Book Festival in Lucknow, which was started last year, and the second edition is due in October this year. And as a spiritualist chasing the divinity within, he has given vent to his outpourings through numerous verses in English and Hindi. Welcome, sir. Dr. Jyoti Arora, ma'am, she is the principal of Mount Abu School. She is also the president of Indraprastha School, Sahodaya, and vice president of Delhi School, Sahodaya Complex. She has made a lot of innovations in pedagogy and was invited as a delegate by the Italian Ministry of External Affairs and International Cooperation in Rome. She's a Microsoft Innovative Educator and a Microsoft trainer. Ma'am is also committee advisor member to NDWB's School Outreach Program. Welcome, ma'am. Mr. Olivanan Gopalakrishnan, he is CEO of Emerald Publishers. He's a mechanical engineer with an MBA. He's currently pursuing a doctoral thesis on the publishing industry. As CEO of Emerald Publishers, a 41-year-old organization, he's a second-generation entrepreneur. He serves on the board of studies in English literature at the top universities in Tamil Nadu. As an active Rotarian, he was district governor in 2010 to 11. He's also involved in professional bodies, literary festivals, and establishing reading forums. He's a prolific writer, numerous articles to his name, and he was selected for the Frankfurt Fellowship Program in 2021. Welcome, sir. Now I request the chair to start the program, sir.
Thank you so much. A very difficult assignment assigned to me post-lunch first session, and more difficulty is to chair it, because when you chair it, you have so many dimensions to address, which willingly or unwillingly you have to address. The topic given to me as contribution of publishers in making India a book reading nation and knowledge society. Before I start, I would like to compliment the association for wonderful leading of 50 years in nation building. It is not a publishing journey, it's a journey of nation building. 50 years is a good time to evaluate, establish and position yourself and claim what have you done for the society. So all the compliments to Go Saab, entire team, present leader Mittal Saab, Gupta ji, Pranav ji, and entire stakeholders and the key participant of the association. Today again there is a special day, Library Day. So I compliment each one of you for two reasons. Because हमारे बिना लाइब्रेरी अधूरी है. लाइब्रेरी दीवारों से नहीं बनती है. लाइब्रेरी उन दीवारों के अंदर रखी उन बोलती हुई किताबों से बनती है, और उन किताबों को वहाँ ले जाकर सजाने का और लोगों के हाथ में एम्पावरमेंट का वो टूल देने का काम हम करते हैं. तो जब आप बोलते हैं कि वो लाइब्रेरी है, वो लाइब्रेरी नहीं है, वो सोसाइटी की इंटेलेक्चुअल लेबोरेटरी का एक रिफ्लेक्शन है कि देश में क्या हो रहा है और समाज में क्या हो रहा है. लोग बोलते हैं नालंदा तक्षशिला. मैं एक सवाल आपसे पूछना चाहता हूँ. हम अपने आप को नालंदा तक्षशिला की क्रेडिट लेने की बात करते हैं, क्यों? क्या था वहाँ पर? कभी आप देख के आइए, क्या था? छोटी सी बिल्डिंग है, गिरी हुई है, बट नाम पूरी दुनिया में था. कभी सोचा ऐसा क्या है वहाँ पे? कोई मैप नहीं है, कोई डॉक्यूमेंट नहीं है, लेकिन उसका जो आफ्टर इफेक्ट्स है, उसका सबसे बड़ा पिकेट और पिलर था नालंदा की विश्वविद्यालय की लाइब्रेरी. और उस लाइब्रेरी के अंदर उससे भी बड़ी पावरफुल चीज़ थी वहाँ का कंटेंट, दोज बुक्स, जिनके लिए पूरी दुनिया के लोग, हम शिक्षा के अंतर्राष्ट्रीयकरण या इंटरनेशनलाइजेशन ऑफ एजुकेशन की बात आज कर रहे हैं, तब थी. India was the center of global students. For what? For the knowledge system that we had, and that knowledge system was prevailing because of the good quality content and books. So we must compliment for this wonderful legacy, not only to that building who somebody constructed, but also to the people who created that content and preserved it. So that is the role of publishers. Nobody speaks about it. It was the publisher who ensured documentation of these rich literary and academic heritage, which we claim that we are Vishwaguru. Another important thing, we take it as a trade. I don't know, people speak trade. I don't like this word personally. We are not traders. We are destiny makers. Why? Because we are doing the most sensitive job on this earth, because we are shaping the neurons of the child. हमारी किताब पढ़ के एक बच्चे का माइंड में कन्फिग्रेशन शुरू होता है. ये इस बात पे सबसे ज़्यादा डिपेंड करता है कि वो एक वोटर बनेगा या एक सिटीजन बनेगा. दैट इज द डिफरेंस ऑफ ए बुक. टेक top 100 या top 10 people, top 10 powerful people, top 10 rich people, and top 10 influential people. 10 out of 10 are book readers. 10 out of 10 have link with publishing. 10 out of 10. एक भी नहीं है. सबकी बुक की लिस्ट आती है, my recommended list end of the year. You look for it. And they are the people who are ruling the society today. So understand the impact which we have on society. Can any one of you ignore the value of book and publishing in your life where we are sitting today? Or anyone, top to bottom, any person? No. I'm giving these examples for certain regions. I will come back to that again. We want to communicate something, we want to preserve something. How do we do it? Through publishing. We are not just publishing. We are carrying the legacy of culture also ahead. So we are the carrier of culture. एक किताब बार बार रीप्रिंट में आती है, 50 साल बाद वो कॉपीराइट फ्री हो जाती है, फिर उसको हम पब्लिश करना चाहते हैं. एटलीस्ट मैं तो करता हूँ एनबीटी में. 50 किताबें हैं जो खत्म हो चुकी हैं, 1-2 कॉपी बची हैं. आई पब्लिश देम अगेन. हाउ मेनी कॉपीज? 1000 कॉपीज. एटलीस्ट फॉर अनदर 100 years they will be surviving. Otherwise they will die. Somebody has to do it. That is my mandate. That may not be your mandate. Your mandate may be something else. I accept it. So that is the role of publishing. When a child comes, he is born. उसको हम alphabet सिखाते हैं, language सिखाते हैं, everything we teach him. What we want to give him through that? Values. That is what we do in publishing. Value-based books. That is how we fabricate the citizens, not the voters. That is where the role of duties and rights come, not rights and duties. We have to change this narrative. पहला शब्द duty है, right नहीं है. That is how we can make the difference. At the same time, there are 2 engineers, read the same kind of book, top class topper, one in Jeddah University, one in Bangalore University. One make Infosys, another make Al-Qaeda. So what made the difference? The kind of content that he ingrained. Same kind of engineers. One is in space, Elon Musk, by reading Galaxy. And another is striking in WTC. What is the difference? Content. So the kind of intake you have, it is giga theory, garbage in, garbage out. The quality of content we take in, not only physically, but intellectually, spiritually, technically, will decide the fate of the nation. So that is the role as a publisher, and we should take pride, and we should not call it a trade. It's a duty we are doing to the nation as nation builders. So we are equally doing the nation builders role as the teachers are doing. You must be surprised what kind of panel I have got here. I deliberately got this panel like this. Why? Who is our clientele in publishing? 3 elements. एक तरफ author है, writer है, एक तरफ हमारा reader है, उनके बीच में हम publishers हैं. So we are the facilitator of both the elements, the production unit, the curator, and the consumer. So we have to be careful from both ends. That's why we have to understand, because the impact, the grassroots level where this publishing system will grow is school. So we want to hear a narrative of a academic leader who is working in school segment. So that's why we got a teacher who is into not only one school, but hundreds and 300 plus schools, knows on ground how things are and how we do a reading nation. Another person we have is Chandraprakash ji. He is the only publisher and bookseller and a distributor and academician I have seen. जब कोई किताब लेने आता है, वो इस चीज़ में इंटरेस्टेड नहीं है कि किताब कितने की जा रही, वो उसको किताब उठा के ये बताता है कि इस किताब में ये है बेटा, ये ज़रूर पढ़ना इस पोर्शन में. एंड इवन नरेट्स एट टाइम. आई हैव सीन हिम व्हेन आई गो, ही ओपन द बुक एंड शोज कि इस किताब में यहाँ ये लिखा हुआ है. दैट क्लियरली शोज पैशन फॉर पब्लिशिंग and passion for content, and that's how we create readership. That is the only reason in this difficult time of economy they could survive in Lucknow and they could maintain their dignity as publisher, distributor and bookseller. So I wanted him to come for this so that we hear. हम इसी चैम्बर में बैठ के मंत्रालय में यहाँ वहाँ हम लोग बना देते हैं सब कुछ लिख के बढ़िया सा PPT पे, that is fine. But at times it's good to go on ground. So when I went ground, I found them of relevance, so I brought them. We have another regional player with us, because we sit Hindi, English is the only language. People who have understanding of other ecosystem also, who have other part of the world also. That's why we have another speaker with us. We also requested, but ma'am is not well for some reasons, somebody who deal with the policy. Coming back to the point about role of publishers is, yes, number one, it's a very, very important time in the history of mankind for 2 reasons. The population size of India is biggest. The human resource which have biggest. The education system, we have the biggest. the student numbers, we have the largest. And we have world biggest education reform in our country, National Education Policy 2020, which will decide how this industry will unfold for next 4 decades. We have targeted enrollment ratio from 27% to 50% in next 1 decade. By 2030, you can take. 2 crore students being inducted, per capita expenditure on books, how much opportunity we have. We have multidisciplinary approach, crisscross of the education. We have multilingual approach. Bilingual books are already in the market. Additional languages, additional content, and content in regional languages, another opportunity for all the publishers. Are we ready for it? If not, then we are not doing our duty, because that is our role in nation building, to provide the content. So we have to understand the need of the society and the nation and the ecosystem. Also look after the interest of the author or the writers or somebody who comes with the content, and create an healthy economic environment where the economic activity also takes place, but at the same time, we perform our duty and create a society which is knowledge-based. That is my take on this. Without taking much of time, I know there are challenges. There are 3 major challenges. Quality of books, which all will agree. I will not comment, but many of us don't even read the content which we publish. Many of us read the content word by word which we publish. So we have both sides of the coin. Quality of books, accessibility of books. There are challenges in regional books and content. It has to be accessible. And last, affordability. There are challenges like taxation, export, import. There are challenges like production quality, quality of raw material, pricing of the raw material, international factors deciding the policy of the publishers. They are there. In spite of that, I will say we have to keep these 3 pillars in mind about quality, accessibility, and affordability. Another important aspect, till now, we were not talking about children below 5 years of age, that ECC learning, or you can say Anganwadi, or fundamental learning, whatever name you can give, 5, 3, 3, 4. These children who are in early stage, when we are shaping the mind in first 6 years, 80 to 90% growth is taking place. What content are we giving them? That is again our role. That will decide its trajectory. So this right to education, 100% enrollment ratio is another opportunity for the publishing. Without taking much of time, I will just say 2-3 points. We have more speakers to hear. Budget 2023-24 has already announced 5,000 crore rupees for Panchayat libraries. That means library at Panchayat level. So it is not an opportunity for one publishing house, but the entire ecosystem where we can think of. We are coming up with National Digital Library for school segment, maybe in a couple of days, 15 August ke aspas aa jaye shayad. So that is on the way. Again, we have opportunity for digital content. Then we are coming up in other opportunities of creation of various research foundations, research wings. So there is adequate projection if you can see and listen the opportunity very carefully. There are lots of options which you can explore, each one of us. But again, the key will be quality of the content. Without taking much of time, I will just say one quote which I remember. One book, one pen, and one teacher can change the course of history. And we are so lucky in publishing ecosystem. We have book, we have pen, and we have teacher. So all 3 roles we have, and we think we are the strongest pillar in society to bring any change. I'm saying you with lot of credibility in my ideas and understanding. We can bring the change, because जब एक छोटी सी किताब आती है, लोग पढ़ना सीख लेते हैं चंद्रकांता पढ़ने के लिए. एक छोटी सी किताब आती है, पूरी ब्रिटिश एम्पायर लग जाती है फर्स्ट वॉर ऑफ इंडिपेंडेंस को किसी भी तरह कर्व करने के लिए कि वो इंडिया उसकी कॉपी ना पहुंच पाए. लेकिन वो आती है, कोई पब्लिशर मेडिकल की किताब का कवर पेज लगा के उसके अंदर सेक्शन काट के फर्स्ट वॉर ऑफ इंडिपेंडेंस इंडिया बेचता है. सो दैट इज़ द पावर ऑफ ए बुक, दैट इज़ द पावर ऑफ ए पब्लिशर. लंदन में, इंडिया हाउस में और पेरिस में अगर पब्लिशिंग बंद हो जाती है तो पब्लिशिंग श्यामजी कृष्ण वर्मा जिनेवा में करते हैं, एंड इंडिया वापस कंटेंट आता है. और जब सब फेल होता है तब अखबार निकालते हैं. तो ये सब चीज़ें हैं जो पब्लिशिंग से कहीं ना कहीं जुड़ी हुई हैं. आई एम सॉरी, आई विल नॉट टेक मच ऑफ टाइम. आई हैड टू ईट अवे सम अदर स्पीकर्स टाइम, सो आई टुक सम एक्स्ट्रा अपॉर्चुनिटी टू speak and engage you. With this liberty, now I think we'll start with the session. Thank you. Jai Hind.
I am very grateful to Colonel Saab, Yuvraj Malik ji, and R.K. Mittal Saab to have given me an opportunity to be sitting here in front of such an august gathering. It's a very humbling experience to be sitting in front of just one of the greatest stalwarts of the book industry, Ashok Ghosh ji. I think I was in my half pants when I set my first eyes on him. And one also takes this opportunity to remember the stalwarts of the book industry, Dinanath ji, Vishwanath ji, O.P. Ghai Saab, Nandi Mehra. I mean, all these, we have had the occasion of meeting all of them. Narinder Kumar ji, we lost him 2 days back. And a host of these number of people, along with Ashok Ghosh ji, apologies. They are the unsung maestros of the Indian book industry. I would call it an industry, it's not an industry, the book trade. And Babu Shyamlal Gupta ji, they have not only curated the book trade, they've also laid the roadmap for where we are today. And these are the people, the stalwarts who got together and created the roadmap for posterity. Hats off to them and hats off to you, sir. It's a humbling experience to be sitting and talking about you and in your presence. When I talk of the book trade, I speak about the booksellers and the publishers as in one voice because there is an umbilical connection between the two. The book trade in India, I've been shouting at the rooftops, but I've not been able to get this message across. The book trade in India is the most unrecognized and the greatest entrepreneurial success story of not only India but all third world countries. Why do I say this? People talk about the Green Revolution, people talk about the Milk Revolution, but has anybody talked about the printed book curated revolution, curate in India, the publishing word revolution? Nobody's ever talked about it. Yet what is it? In 1940s, around the 1940s and during the independence, whatever content we got in India, apart from regional languages, was 95%, if not more, imported content in English. Forget the regional publishing, all else in English was all imported content. I think all of us, most of us would have read Song the Let Us Sing, Hall Stevens and Sims, Arithmetic, Holderness Lambert, your grammar, Nesfield grammar, your N. Martin grammar, all that we've all read. But what has happened in all these past years? From a country which had 95 to 97% foreign content, we in India, in a matter of a decade or 2 or 3, we brought it down today where the Indian content is estimated at around 60 to 70% Indian originated content. And not only that, it is exported all over the world. How did it happen? And who did it? Nobody seems to be aware of it. Curate in India, the publishing word, needs to be recognized. It was a revolution. Where in the world would you have another incident like this where the government has not pitched in, not a penny has been spent by the government, and all this has happened silently by the book trade? What was the book trade? Around the 40s, all over the country, you had small shops sprouting up all over the country by individuals. Somebody had 10 rupees, somebody had 100 rupees, somebody had 1,000 rupees. And according to the resources at his command, they opened up shops all over the country, in every nook and corner of the country, which ultimately became the center points of their local population who was seeking knowledge. Similarly, in bigger cities like Delhi, Bombay, Madras, Calcutta, Agra, Meerut, you suddenly found printers sprouting up, and some of the printers evolving into publishing houses. And there was the story of the book trade which originated in India. And there was a communication and interaction and networking between these two groups. Once the bookshops became the center point of the local population, all the people seeking knowledge or who were concerned with knowledge would make a beeline for those. And during interactions, the local bookseller who would have noticed some spark in some individuals would say, Bhai Sahab, आप स्मिथ की क्यों पढ़ते हैं? Why don't you write? You are so knowledgeable. वो कहता है यार हम लिख तो दें लेकिन छापेगा कौन? And that bookseller at that time would have said, अरे आप लिखिए ना, हम बोलते हैं, हम दिल्ली में एक प्रिंटर है उसको बोलते हैं. He would pick up the phone and talk to that printer or the publisher and say यार ये छाप दो. The publisher would say, अरे उसको बेचेगा कौन? And the bookseller would say कि भाई 20-25 आप बेच लेना, 20-50 हम बेच लेंगे, 100 कॉपीज ये बेच देगा, ये जो ऑथर है बिकवा देगा. And that is how this journey started. Similarly, if those individuals went to the printer or the publisher, he would ring up the bookseller, and in their conversation they gave genesis. And both of us started giving hope, confidence to individuals that they could write and compete with Mr. Smith, Mr. X, Mr. Y, Mr. Z. And that is how this indigenous authorship came into this country. That is where it originated. And if we were able to transform the country, the landscape, the content landscape of the country from English dominated, Western dominated to Indian dominated content, it had its genesis during that period, and on the shoulders of these sparsely educated, huge band of people across the country, sparsely educated, yet they had jazba of nationhood in their hands and service to the country. And that is what happened. Without money they did it. Without money they did it. And the government did not spend our money. They had no direct control on this, yet this transformation happened. Where in the world will you find a similar transformation like this without a penny being spent? This is curate in India, the published word, revolution, which we must all talk about. The book trade. The booksellers are silent torchbearers of the country's march. If India is racing towards being the third largest economy in the world, and if our scientists, engineers, academicians, doctors are being recognized by people all over the world, the publishing industry and the book industry in India has played a very pivotal role for this to happen. I mean, it is amazing. You read the biographies, autobiographies of eminent people, like as Yuvraj Bhai Sahab has just mentioned. You read the biographies, autobiographies of these eminent people, and you will find revelations about their journey of the earlier years in bookshops or through books, that how they were helped in changing their destiny and making them successful. That is what has happened. I mean, one would say from the early 40s to as late as the last decade, the book trade was the sole provider of knowledge and content to the country. Sole provider. It's only in the past decade that we find different intrusions and all kinds of things. But they were the sole providers. And most of us, if you remember, and people who were born before 90s, I mean, where did you go if you required some information? Where would you go? If you had a project to do, where would you go? You would go to a bookshop. And some would say they also went to the libraries. Yes, you're right. They went to a bookshop or a library. But tell me, where did the libraries get their reservoir of books from? From the bookshops. So the bookshops were the key. That is what has happened. And I go even further than that. I go to the extent of saying that every institution, the brick and mortar institution in the country, who has a foundation, its foundation is laced with the sweat, blood and toil of the book trade. There can be no institution where there has been no intrusion of the book industry there. How did professors come into existence? How did institutions come into existence? On the base of knowledge, and that knowledge came, the booksellers and the publishers were the only knowledge suppliers to the country. That is what this book trade did. And yet, we go unrecognized. Yet we go unrecognized. We are still not an industry. Every city, the bookshops in any city is an indicator of the cultural status of a city. You visit a city, you see the state of bookshops, and you can say that you can decide the culture of the city by that. India is the only oldest living civilization in the world. The only living civilization in the world. And our publishers have played a stellar role in the continuity of our traditions and cultures. They played a stellar role in the continuity of this huge tradition that we have in our country. And today, with the contraction in the number of publishers and booksellers, National Book Trust stands up as a tall beacon, assimilating, recording, publishing, disseminating the cultures and the traditions from the remotest corners of this country and in different languages and preserving it for posterity. They need to be applauded for that. They need to be applauded for that. The advent of technology has been a great disruptor in the state of things in the country. The book trade has been no exception. The technology, basically, as far as the book trade is concerned, has been like setting the cat among the pigeons, and where the mouse holds supreme. So much is changing and so fast. So much is changing and so fast. I think in the past 5 years, the amount of change that has happened has not happened in the book industry in the past 30, 40 years. I mean, Ashokji would probably bear witness to it. And it is changing so fast. From booksellers to selling books, from publishing houses to self-publishing initiatives, PODs, print on demands, and the scourge of piracy. There are tremendous challenges which have come up now. But with the challenges come opportunities and options. Options not only for us, options for the other side as well. For the knowledge seekers, they have many options. When you walk into a bookstore, you are recognized by your face. When you go into a mall, you are registered as a footprint. And when you go online, you are recognized and registered with your fingerprint. The choice is yours. That is the choice which the new technology has given play. And this industry of ours, not this industry, the book trade of ours, basically has weathered many storms. And we've done it selflessly, as I've just explained. And we will continue to take up the challenges and adapt and innovate. When we had nothing and no wherewithal, we took the nation on our shoulders. Now, with the experience of what we have, I'm sure we will take this country forward all over the world with a vision, and a vision which will, as influencers of thought and action all over the world, to be recognized once again as the wish gurus as we were earlier. And on a parting shot, I would just like to mention, they say, if a river dies, the city is not far behind. If a river dies, the city is not far behind. And if bookshops were to vanish, I can assure you, the culture of the country would be both on a leash and a lease. So thank you, friends, for the patient hearing. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, sir, for sharing such wonderful details with us. Now I would request Dr. Jyoti Arora ma'am to share her views, please.
Namaskar, everyone. Before I speak, I would like to extend my sincere thanks to Colonel Malik for having me here to be a part of this wonderful discussion dialogues going on. And at the time of saying yes to this assignment, I really didn't realize that I will be in front of the most well-informed community of the society. The well-informed, the one who are curating the knowledge. I'll be speaking in front of them. I simply said, yes, if there is something related to books, reading, definitely, I would like to be a part of this. But now, look at my challenges. I have audience who are the curator of the knowledge think tanks, and then speaking after Colonel Malik and Shri Chandra Prakash ji has become a very huge challenge for me. But I will be speaking out of my experience dealing with children at school level. It's been nearly 3 decades I'm into school education. Dealing with children, have seen them growing with reading habits and without reading habits, with books and without books. And when we the special mention is the special highlight of reading in the national education policy. That was a thrilling moment for me the minute I read about reading as a special highlight in the national education policy. That has made our task simpler. Earlier, it was slightly challenging to get parents into that, other stakeholders into why reading is important, and whereas we consider reading as a basic skill for every learner to enhance or do well in education. But at the same time, it was slightly a challenge for us to get children and parents into that reading mode. And we talk about education. Reading is the backbone of education. And when we talk about reading, how can we forget about books? And when we talk about books, how can we forget the immense contribution, the pivotal role all Indian publishers are doing in curating the curriculum and curating the content, which is age appropriate also, which goes as per the requirements of the readers as well. So India's pursuit of becoming a reading nation and the knowledge society completely hinges upon the instrumental role the publishers have been playing in school education and even at the higher education. So publishers, you all have been contributing. I also would not like to address you as publishers. You are the nation builders, nation makers. So we are just the users of your content, the users of whatever you are curating for us. You are the ones, those who are providing us to be used in the classrooms for the nation. Which is growing, which is shining, and we all are taking pride of that. So publishers, nation builders have been publishing as contributing significantly, because when I look at the diversity of the literary works you are offering us for our children, and arousing their critical thinking, arousing their creativity, that's fabulous. That has to be acknowledged. I think there's a special moment when the Federation of Indian publishers are celebrating their golden jubilee, 50 years. I think it should be celebrated as a festival, because when I look back and see my childhood, there was the time when we had also grown with reading of certain comics, Raj comics and other Chacha Chaudharys and other things, and that somehow had given us the knowledge, directions, and the teachings, the values which Colonel Malik also spoke about. Because whatever we do in our lives, especially I would say at school level, that is associated with values. And when we talk about values, catching them young is always a great idea. So the kind of content we receive, the kind of diversity in content you people curate is really helping us out to get children into reading, and then ultimately growing with the knowledge, growing with with all these 21st century skills. Because if we are talking about 21st century skills, somehow these are also related to the books. Skills, because until and unless they again have resource material to grow with skills, because if they want to specialize in one particular skill, they have everything available within a book and within a click of a button. This is the beauty of the work you people are doing at the back for us to make our children well informed. So you are holding the torch of transforming India into a nation that embraces knowledge and of course reading. When I look at your contribution at school level, I'm very, I see a sea change in your role and the contribution. Because if I have to divide this into simple points, I see it like you are giving us something which is empowering their critical thinking. Because the kind of diversity we see in the literary work, the way any historical event is being presented in different viewpoints and different narratives, that gives a challenge to the child, that gives a situation to the child to analyze, think, question, and then come up with their own way of learning and understanding. So this is the beauty of books, and this is the beauty of your contribution in our school education. And the way you are initiating reading habits, I must appreciate NBT a lot here, because recently we had a session with NBT wherein more than 100 principals were there. And the kind of work NBT is doing in promoting the reading habits, because earlier it was just limited to the role of the school head, that you decide how children should grow with reading habits. But now the way we are getting the proposals from all of you, because I experienced NBTs, that's why I'm quoting NBT a lot, but the kind of programs they have for school children, whether I talk about the authors meet, the book festivals in the school, the authors festivals in the school, or initiating reading corners in the classrooms. This is really fabulous, fabulous. And here comes the role of an educator and the role of parents as well. And we are getting immense help from each one of you, because now if I look at the format of any book I take, it clearly defines the learning outcomes, the objectives, and the role the educator has to play, the role the parent has to play, and how to evaluate. That is very important. Evaluation is always not about examination. It's all about how much the child has understood. That is also very important. So everything is well defined through the diverse work which we have been receiving out of the books we are getting. And the second important aspect is collaborating learning resources. Because if I look at the resources which we are getting, had a very beautiful blend of traditional and the recent, I would say, the digital transformation. And this blending of traditional and new is again helping us out to reach out to the mindset of each and every child sitting in a classroom. Because we are in a very challenging situation when we have to deal with the 40 children of different mindsets sitting in a classroom, and then just one resource material. How to reach out to all those 40 mindsets, that is a question mark. But again, by presenting multiple views, perspectives, narratives, through the content you people are curating is really very helpful for each one of us associated with the school education to ensure that children are moving in the right direction and they are ready to face the competencies of the real world. Because we cannot just stick to the book reading, because it has further perspectives of digitalization also, e-content also, supplementary material also, which you have already understood the need of this, and most of the books are having this. And then cultivating a vibrant reading culture, the school should not take the ownership of this. Somehow there are nation builders like you at the back, those who are helping us. So every year in most of the schools, like I'm representing a Sahodaya having more than 100 schools, when we sit and talk about how are we promoting reading habits in children and how are we creating that culture, somehow we feel the strong contribution of the resource material which we are receiving, and the contribution extended by each one of you, whether I talk about any surfing of the books library. And Colonel Malik very rightly mentioned about the library. Library is the most important part of any educational system, whether we talk about school education or higher education. So gradually the change in the shape of library at school level is again a very good sign, a very positive sign, because we are getting those kind of resources which are required for the multiple. We want children to grow with multidisciplinary skills. We want to grow children with life skills. We want to grow children with integration of art. All these are the recommendations of NEP, and we all are looking at NEP through the lens of NEP only. So when we look at all these things, and we are getting everything well settled in a platter, so that is making our role very easy and very interesting also. Because when we talk about growing of children with reading or with books, the most important concern it has to be engaging, it has to be interesting, it has to be up to the level of their understanding. And all this, whether we talk about the literary diversity you are providing or the initiating the reading habits in the school, we sincerely acknowledge the contribution of each and every one of you. And through your unwavering commitments towards the growth of the nation, through the innovation, collaborations, and curation of very nice and quality content, I consider you as the architects of the enlightened society. And on this very special occasion, I really honor the invaluable contributions that you all are extending in this world of reading, world of books, world of education. And I really anticipate a future where the nation is growing with knowledge, with reading habits, and many more. So here I would also like to mention my experience of visiting Taiwan recently, wherein we saw the culture of libraries, and the same culture now gradually we are experiencing in our country as well. Children have started talking about libraries, have started demanding about the books, have started taking the ownerships of the class libraries and how these class libraries can be enhanced further. So this is a very positive sign. This gives us an indication that we are in the right direction. And how can we forget the immense contribution of everyone associated with this industry, and the thoughts and the way you express for children is, I'm here on behalf of all my fellow friends to extend a big thank you to each one of you for bringing everything to us as per our requirements. And whether we talk about there are like now we have started talking about multilingualism in education. Again, I was informed by Colonel Malik that India has books in 55 languages they have already produced. So this is something which will ensure the right growth, the positive growth in our children's development, because I'm dealing at school level. We usually talk to children and we ask about their prioritization of, and when we ask about their priorities, they are most fond of watching videos, getting into games, and any gadget you talk about, mobile phones, smartphones. But when it comes to reading, now they have started talking about it. It's a very positive change which I see. And again, I would like to say thank you to each one of you for bringing all the best to each one of us associated with education. And the country grows only when the education is empowered, and the education is empowered when when they have the resources, good resources, and you all are curating everything as per our needs and requirements. So thank you so very much, and I wish for a very bright future for India and all our young readers ahead. Thank you.
Thank you so much, ma'am. Now I would request Mr. Olivinanan Gopalakrishnan.
The danger of coming at the end is you are always associated with a chit. But anyway, I also have to cut short because otherwise I'll miss my flight also. Some time back, I think one of my Rotary Club meetings, when we got introduced, then he asked me, what is your classification? I said, publishing. He said, what do you do there? I was a little astonished. And then I said, we transform knowledge from one mind to many. Then he was more confused. He said, anything connected with transformers, electrical? Then I said, we publish books. Through books, knowledge is transmitted. Oh, you are a printer, something like a printing, right? I said, we are not printers. Then what is the difference? Whatever you give, printer will print. But we take quality content from one person to rest of the people. That's our job. Today, the question is whether, the relevance of publisher is, today is a big question. Many people ask. I can publish book, and in a day I can get everything done, post it in Kindle, and the book is ready for sale. Then where is the role of a publisher comes here? Then I told them, yes, you post it there. There are like you, there are hundreds and thousands of millions of such writers all over the world. How would people look out for only your book? Then look at from reader's perspective. There are again, a reader get so many millions of information flows from different directions. As our Honorable Minister yesterday she said, the question comes here is the trust, the reliability of the data. That's where the publisher comes in. The role of the publisher is more than ever defined because he is the one who has to give it to the society what it requires. We do a very responsible job like people at the border, the armed forces, they protect this nation. The policeman who protect the citizen, the fireman who protects us against the fire, we are the people who protect or we offer knowledge to the people. We have more responsibility. We just not here in business to make money. So that we need to understand. Only thing, times are changing. Like in any other industry, there are so many disruptions, but the disruptions are always have played a good role for us. I remember in the 70s, go with my father and sit in a printing press where they take months to do with the traditional composing. Then came DTP. So many. Every disruption has changed us dramatically. Only thing now we have to see how to reach our books to the people. That is very, very important. That we need to come with some blue ocean strategy, which is definitely should be different. I will share because I know the time constraint. I'll share with you a couple of the best practices that we have been adopting. In 99, my father passed away. I got into the business. My coming into the business was not very planned one, though in 90s, early 90s, people with engineering and MBA had, most of them had different things on their mind, but I chose to come here because I enjoyed being with a book. But when I took over the company, I thought we should do differently. We should do something, different from others. That's what we have been adopting. There's nothing new. Now if I say there's nothing new, but that time we started doing a lot of workshops for teachers. My wife also asked me, why are you doing all this? In what way it's going to help you? But I said, no, this is very, very important. You do social service. Like how we do in Rotary clubs, we do that there. That will create us a kind of credibility in the society. The recent initiative about which I wanted to mention, because in 2014 we envisaged that and wanted to do that. In Lions and Rotaries, they look at youngsters and they have Leo clubs and Rotaract clubs. So we thought we should come with a model like that for the college students, readers forums. But somehow it couldn't take off that time for various reasons. But recently, government of Tamil Nadu has invited me rather. They said we wanted to take up this model. Now we are now creating in every school, college in Chennai city, a readers forum. There may be already readers forum existing. We are integrating them, strengthening them. The idea is to integrate all this readers forum in the city, later on to the entire state, so that they will have so many meetings amongst themselves, a cross-pollination of ideas. They'll be the privileged society, privileged class in their student community. That we have seen, I will tell you what's happening in the last 1.5 months. We have opened in 15 colleges. In another 25 colleges we are going to open. Everywhere, wherever we go, the students, the enthusiastic students, I'm not saying they all 1,000, 2,000, 3,000 students in the college. There are about 300 students or 500 students who are so anxious about participating in this program. Their hunger is unlimited. We can't feed them so easily. But we can do that. This is very imperative. As you all know, Harari said in his Homo Deus book, you may all be well aware of that. He says in future, we will have only two kinds of societies. One is useful society and another is an useless society. But the useful society is one which is going to produce. The useful society will be the innovators. They will be the creative people. The useless society will be simply consuming that once, then later on they will vanish. So to be that, we have more responsibility, my dear friends. In addition to that, we also do 5 reading club programs every week, 3 online, 2 at our bookshops. nothing there to promote our own books. I have told very clearly to the organizers, not Emerald Publishers books. It should be from the best of the books from other publishers. All that we need to continuously to do that in this society. We are not like any other business. We don't sell steel and iron where I can go sit there and sell and come back. But we are creating a climate in the society which would bring more and more readers. Money will come automatically later. Let's not worry about it. Our goal is to make this society a very empowered and knowledgeable society. I appreciate, congratulate 50 golden years of this federation. The stalwarts are all sitting here. I really salute them because 50 is not a simple number. Today, even a movie doesn't run for 10 days or 15 days. In those days, the ways to celebrate 150 days, we used to curiously watch the heroes of our time, whether the movie runs 100 days or 150 days, more than the hero. But today, hardly 5 days, 10 days. But to sustain and grow like this, and you are really a role model for us. We only look out for the day when we have this kind of seminars in our part of the world. Thank you very much. Appreciate.
Thank you, sir. Thank you so much. We have already crossed our time. Will not take much. If any queries from the audience with the panel, they will be happy to take, but quickly 30-second query. Otherwise, we can time to move on. Some other panel is already in the waiting line. Please, sir, quickly.
Booksellers across our dying community. My name is Chandrasekhar. My name is Chandrasekhar. The booksellers across our dying community. Is there anything FFP is doing or can do to bring that booksellers to grow their business?
I'm not from FIP, first of all. And that's not, it's about Indian publishing. It's neither about NBT, it's not about FIP. Because every bookseller take content from all publishers all across the country and he represents them as aggregator whatever way. Idea is how to survive and keep this reading habit or reading culture in this society alive. I told quality. If the quality book comes, people pay also. Aisa nahi hai. Accessibility and then affordability. We have to keep a balance of it. Those challenges which you have talked, why they are dying, is fine. So we have to understand those minor nuances of quality, accessibility and affordability. Then only we can think of giving any policy answer कि सरकार कोई ऐसी policy लाएगी. Then we can only think of institutional arrangement कि FIP कुछ ऐसा करेगी. Then we can think of only some taxation issues. These are the regulations will happen. It's a collective ecosystem that has to grow together. Only government, only FIP, only that particular bookseller won't be able to take on these challenges in isolation. That's what my take on it. So we have to be very, very balanced in our approach and response to such challenges. Any other thing? Quickly, please.
Yeah, sure. As the world is progressing, newer generations are coming up. We see a decline in, how students are not reading a lot, and probably we see a decline in probably a customization of reading habits and books. So how do you, how as a publisher, what would you suggest us to cope up with that thing?
If I given a chance for a day, I will ensure one thing. Wherever there is an airport, there is a toy store. When he comes and shows those toys in Hamleys and here and there, I'll put a bookstore there. Whenever it happens, if I have to choose and give a license to a urban policy, in a mall, the first stall will be a bookstore, if I have to give. If I have to go to the mall, I will ensure that when I go to the mall to do shopping, for 10 minutes, I will take my son to the bookstore and I do it. I religiously do it. First, I go to third floor in Bahari Sons, in Ambience Mall, visit that store for no reasons and come back, and then I go to shopping and whatever I have to buy. The idea is not that whether I will buy or not. Idea is first introduction. Proposal शादी का बाद में आएगा, पहले देख तो लें.
I would suggest more and more parents to push their children to read actually.
So these are the steps, small ignitions. And you say declining habit, I personally don't agree. It is diversifying. It is diversifying. बच्चे पढ़ रहे हैं, but वो फॉर्मेट चेंज हुआ है. आज वो पूरा एक बुकलेट बायोग्राफी नहीं पढ़ता है, वो विकिपीडिया का 2 पैराग्राफ ही पढ़ता है, बट वो मोबाइल पे पढ़ता है. उसका फॉर्मेट चेंज हो रहा है. दिस डाइवर्सिफिकेशन वी आर नॉट काउंटिंग इनटू रीडिंग बिकॉज इट इज नॉट ए सस्टेन्ड मेथड. हम बोलते थे डिजिटल हो रहा है, डिजिटल हो रहा है. अपने बच्चों को स्कूल क्यों भेजना चाहते हैं? Parents started fighting. Why you are not opening the school? Take them back to schools. Why? Because actual learning, grooming एक ecosystem से होती है, social ecosystem से. Digital उसका replacement नहीं हो सकता. You can't hug your child on mobile. You can't hold your child on 4G or 5G. So it has to be real learning. End of the day, it will be human elements that will prevail all over. That's why we are publishing. उस किताब को छूने का, महसूस करने का, और बहुत से initiatives हैं institution level पे, society जो हमें करने होंगे, तभी हम पूरी सोसाइटी को लर्निंग इकोसिस्टम से जोड़ेंगे. और मैंने वही बोला, हम वोटर नहीं बनाने हैं, हमें सिटीजन बनाने हैं. उसके लिए वेल रेड सोसाइटी चाहिए. व्हेन सिटीजन्स रीड, देन ओनली कंट्री लीड, अदरवाइज वी आर पैसेंजर्स. दैट्स द होल आइडिया.
Thank you.
यस, आई थिंक लास्ट क्वेश्चन प्लीज, 30 सेकेंड.
One more question.
क्विकली, 15 seconds.
My question is for Mr. Oliver. So you said something very interesting towards the end of your speech. You said that you have created these online reading clubs. Thank you. You've created these online reading clubs where you are promoting for the general good other publishing houses' books and not yours. This is the first time, it's very refreshing that a publishing house is actually promoting other publishing houses. So just a round of applause for that.
That's why we have sustained for last 3 years,
Right,
because if I had done it only for myself,
No,
it would have got ruined.
It's really
Yes.
heartwarming to hear something like this from a publishing house. So my question to you is, if you could just elaborate a bit more on it. What exactly are you doing?
Yes, I will probably, when I come down, I'll give you my number. I can give you more details. I'll send it to, Mithil Saab. You get it. People from different parts of the world are joining. Thank you for that question, and I think we have time.
I'll just say one thing. There are many new things which have never happened. They are happening. NBT is not participating in Frankfurt Book Fair for the first time. It is Indian Publishing which is participating. And FIP is also one part of it. Capex is. So there are many things which are happening. So thank you so much. And we have to have one voice, one publishing, one ecosystem where everybody grows together. We can't grow in isolation. So that's what I have to say. It's for all of us. And these books and all, as my colleague said, from NBT, they are from the Indian Publishing, not from NBT. Thank you.
थैंक यू सर. आप सभी को सुनकर के ऐसा लग रहा था कि हम पब्लिशर्स कुछ मीनिंगफुल कर रहे हैं. ऐसा नहीं है कि हम सिर्फ किताब छाप करके और अपनी जीविका कमाने के लिए कर रहे हैं. कुछ मीनिंगफुल कर रहे हैं सर. थैंक यू वेरी मच फॉर टेलिंग अस व्हाट वी आर डूइंग. नाउ आई विल इनवाइट प्रणव टू एक्सटेंड आवर ग्रेटिट्यूड टू आवर पैनलिस्ट प्लीज. We have published 75 years of book publishing, which we wish to share with you with a certificate of our gratitude, sir.